So again, all of you know Shekhar ji, and he doesn't need any introduction. He's very creative. Is very busy helping people and writing articles and giving interviews and so on. So overall, he has been in a very key asset to Sri Yoga for all the things that he does to help the community. Okay. And so Shekhar, I know everyone knows you, so there's no need to introduction for
Yes.
introduction. But just a few things that some of you may not know that he's June 30th. He's going to Kailash Mansarovar Parikrama, and that is going to be very spiritual journey for the entire group. Then he is also going to, in I think April, he has a conference. He's presenting his research in Germany, and overall, there are many good reviews of his book, and he has been helping many people that have some neurological disorders. And very thankful, Shekhar, for being part of Shri Yoga. Okay. So with that, again, if you want to add a few things, please do that.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sriji. And of course, the one who introduced me to this Sri Yoga group was Sham Nawate and Aruna Nawate, who are sitting just right there in front of us. So those are the ones who have been instrumental in getting
Okay.
me uh, into this and allowing me to serve Lord through everybody. So, okay. So let me get started by chanting one small mantra so that the whole idea of this mantra is so that whatever I speak should go as is, the way it is supposed to be, rather than me talking something which does not make sense and suddenly say, no, this is not what I meant it, or no, not nothing of that kind should happen. So, Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So let me start sharing my slide. So whenever we talk about plaques per se. Plaques, no, normally we think plaque is dental plaque, right? Because we go to dentist to get the cleanup every 6 months or so. So we think that the plaques is all about mouth challenge. But this plaques can lead to something much more um, difficult in our life. That is, it can cause brain challenges such as Alzheimer. Then the second time we hear about plaques is, oh, this person has had um, some quadruple bypass surgery. Why? Because he had a lot of plaques. His 80% heart was blocked. Why? Because of the plaques. And then there is heart and so there's heart and brain connection, mouth and brain connection. We always have understood gut and brain connection, but what about these two and the gut? How are these three things connected to the brain? Now, this is the systems biology approach to understanding a, a disease like Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer disease is basically not the, it is manifested in brain, but it starts somewhere else. Do we call it mouth starts that, or heart starts that, or gut starts that? So it is a very um, difficult thing to understand whether who starts the disease. So it is systems. The system is compromised. That's what this whole thing is about. So this is a healthy brain on the left side here. On the left side, you see the healthy brain, which ventricles are very small. Ventricle means the space. There is some empty space in the brain which is filled up with cerebrospinal fluid. So this is relatively small. But over here, you have a little bigger ventricle and the space is too huge here. And the cortex, the this is almost shrunk to size because the cells are dying in a rapid rate. Like few thousands of cells per day are dying, and that's why the brain size becomes smaller and smaller. So the mouth brain axis, let's talk about mouth brain axis. Means how does uh, plaque, dental plaque, contribute to this difficult mental or neurological challenge? I would say this Alzheimer is a big thing right now, and it has started much more post COVID. Normally, Alzheimer disease is an elderly disease, not necessarily post 70 or post 65. That most of the time that happens. However, recently, because of the long COVID, it has started even earlier. Earlier means around 40, 45. That is the kind of disease onset started to the brain fog and confused thinking, lack of goal, lack of motivation, all those things have started. And then the people have started to see um, plaques in the brain. Those are Alzheimer's plaques or beta amyloid plaques or tau plaques. Those plaques are going to be seen. This is what we will discuss today. Now, one common theme in the entire discussion would be one word, which is inflammation. Inflammation. Now, how does mouth brain axis get affected? Number one, it is through the periodontal diseases. So these are the gingivitis is here, advanced now, the receding gum, and look at the plaque over here. It is a brownish colored thing. Now that is basically nothing but a sticky film of bacteria, which is constantly formed on your teeth. If it is normal to produce plaque, everybody has them. But if you clean them every time and if you brush every morning properly and undergo routine dental cleaning, then and flossing is the must. For flossing is the best thing to remove all the plaques. So this what happens is gum is the first place where the inflammation starts, and then this whole process reaches the brain. This is I'll tell you. How does periodontal disease cause challenges? Number one, it initiates inflammatory cascade. This is one of the mechanisms. Inflammatory cascade means soothe. This a bacteria, it eats up the tissue, right? Because and that causes inflammation. Now, inflammation is essentially a very good thing. You will say, why is it good thing? Because it blocks from further challenges. So initially, inflammation is to protect you. Let's say if you get a prick or a pin prick on your hand or something, right? Or so that particular pinprick is the inflammation right there right now is very necessary because body will want to block that hole so that all the blood does not ooze out. So that is the first thing. The first cascade is inflammation. But if you constantly keep pricking your hand on the same spot, what will happen? Then the massive inflammatory situation happens, and that is not out. That is out of control, and that's not very good. So it releases inflammatory molecules. Inflammatory molecules are small molecules which basically um, try to mend the injury, right? That is what the whole idea is. Then, if this is continuously, constantly happening, then there is a systemic inflammation via the bloodstream. So inflammatory molecules are going around in the bloodstream, causing lot of damage in pretty much all the parts of the body. That is called systemic inflammation, when the inflammation is happening all over the part of the body. Then some of the cells get activated because of this inflammation molecule reaching the brain, because it is not far away from mouth to brain right away. Because mouth and these are the region, very vascular region, very rich in blood vessels. So it will go instantly. And then they activate a kind of a cell inside the brain which is called microglia. they produce pro-inflammatory cytokines. Cytokines is nothing but, I'm not diluting the nomenclature here because I just want to make it uh, not to compromise with science. So that's the whole idea. Now, pro-inflammatory means that which enhances inflammatory in the brain, inflammation in the brain by microglia activation. Now there is another set of cells within surrounding the neurons. Those are called reactive astrocytes. The astrocytes means they look like stars, right? They just look like stars, and they further produce more of the same molecule. First, the microglia produces, then the astrocytes produces, and what happens is the neurons are sitting around these inflammatory molecules sitting there, and then the neuron starts to die. Now that leads to Alzheimer disease, beta amyloid peptide. There is a protein. I'll tell you how what is beta amyloid and what is this hyperphosphorylated tau. I'll show you little later. There's another set of molecule. Another mechanism is microbial which basically leads to inflammation only. But this was the first ever discussion on the periodontal disease affecting Alzheimer started. So migration of microorganism means bacteria and all that. They surround the dental plaques, which enter the brain via the bloodstream or the peripheral nerve. So you see that those people, what they if they if the they don't want the bacteria to go via the peripheral nerves into the brain. So what they do the root canal. They just kill the nerve itself, so that it doesn't go anywhere. So that is the thing. So anyway, that triggers the inflammation in the central nervous system, and then which obviously altered glia. This is this microglia and neuron interaction gets affected because of that, and that leads to this whole process called neurodegeneration and cognitive impairment. Now, periodontal disease can cause neurodegeneration is quite recent, like a decade old concept. And people have started to understand that somebody who has had challenge at the mouth level, that's a warning sign. Say you must make sure that your mouth is clean and mouth is not smelling, or the bad breath is not happening, because that is the first signal that this fellow is going to be going on a wrong path. Okay, so this whole thing activates this pro-inflammation all the way, and that is causing neurodegeneration and cognitive impairment as seen in Alzheimer. Now the heart-brain axis, let's talk about that. This is the same thing. Now, what is an arterial plaque? Arterial, this is a simple artery that is making the blood flow nicely. Everything is fine. Now, suddenly there is a fatty substance developed here. Now, like this fat substance here. This is called arterial plaque, which is made out of fatty substance, cholesterol, and calcium. Now, why do you think that this fellow is developed here? Because of our bad food habits, basically. Reactive oxygen species gets developed and they try to attack our own cells. Reactive oxygen species, trans fats, tala hua khana, the one fried food mm, from McDonald's, Burger King, and all that, those are the ones which cause this. Eating ghee does not cause plaque. Eating ghee does not cause plaque. Remember one thing. It is the trans fat which is very it has a very high level of oxidative potential, which is basically it causes it makes reactive oxygen species, which is free radicals. Those are very toxic to the cells. If in one cell gets affected by that, what happens? Inflammation is to block that hole, that injury, right? That injury blocking is necessary, and that's why cholesterol is so necessary. But present day medical system, okay, say, oh my goodness, there is a lot of cholesterol, kill the cholesterol itself. Or somebody says calcium, don't take calcium. That's what will they will say. So that's not how it is. To cholesterol is very necessary to to repair the damage first. But if the damage keeps on happening, then the cholesterol keeps on. The liver will continuously synthesize cholesterol so as to block further damage from happening. So instead of stopping the reactive oxygen species, what they do is they block the cholesterol synthesis. That is a wrong concept. Now, this particular uh, inflammation, what happens is, let me go once again. This inflammation, what happens is, if it happens in your carotid artery or any part in the brain, what happens then? The supply of the blood, which is basically oxygenated blood, supply into the brain is compromised. And then brain cells say, neurons say, I cannot survive with this lack of food. What is the biggest food for a brain? Sugar and fat. Only two things the brain survives on: cholesterol and fat. Sorry, cholesterol and sugar. This is the food of the brain, nothing else. Of course, information is that's a different part of the discussion. But cholesterol and sugar, two most important things. Now, why sugar? Because that is how it produces tremendous energy. Brain is the electrical energy produced. I mean, so much electricity is being produced in the brain. Where do the energy come from? Of course, from sugar, which produces um, the energy essentially, right? Let's talk about the gut-brain axis. Now, there is a I think I have discussed vagus nerve in a large detail in my earlier sessions on Sri Yoga, and this is the most favorite of my nerves. Now, this particular nerve is starting from the 10th cranial nerve. This is a 10th cranial nerve, and it has got it named vagus nerve because of it is vagabond. Vagabond means it is roaming all over. Which where is it not? That's what it is. Where is it? Everywhere. Heart, brain, lung, liver, diaphragm, kidney, intestine, everywhere there is a, and mouth, face, everything. Everywhere there is a vagus nerve. Now, the best part about vagus nerve is it sends 10% of the signal. So from the brain to the rest of the body, there is a motor nerves going on. Those are different ones. But 10% of the signal that vagus nerve carry from the brain to the rest of the body. But it is 90% from the rest of the body back to the brain. This is the beauty. It has bidirectional uh, uh, nerve. So one same traffic, it can go both ways. So that is how. And the one which is going towards brain is far bigger than the one coming from the brain. So that makes it very important. And this is what I call as the Manipura chakra. Manipura chakra is this abdominal area, which is what this is. I have discussed some time earlier in one of the uh, places in Maryland, I think, somewhere. Now, gut makes the same chemical that our brain makes when it thinks. If it doesn't think, that doesn't matter. But when it thinks, it makes the same chemicals as, except that nervous system in our gut does not have the ability to doubt itself like the central nervous does. That's why the gut feeling is so very authentic. The brain feeling is filtered. It has to be politically correct. But the gut feelings are as it is. They just say it the way it is. That's why it's very trustworthy. Gut feelings are very trustworthy. And and the best thing is about, and that's why one should have tremendous respect for women folk, is that they have a higher gut feeling concept going on in their head, in their system. Gut feeling intuition is very strongly developed in women. Now, I was, have you ever heard of probiotics? Now, probiotics is something, now this gut, this vagus nerve is inundated in the gut area, completely everywhere, it is all over. So how does it get activated? They have in the terminal nerve, their nerve, the vagus nerve terminal have receptors for the neurotransmitters. So how does the neurotransmitter develop get formed in the gut? It is using this amino acids. Now, where do the amino acids come from? Amino acids come from the proteins which are digested. Now, these are the ones which are getting uptaken. What is uptaken in our intestine and gut and all that? Absorption, assimilation part of the digestive system. These are the amino acids: tyrosine, phenylalanine. And now these are used as a substrate by these bacteria, lactobacillus and bifidobacterium. Now these bacteria use these guys as a substrate to produce dopamine. Okay. And then tryptophan is another amino acid, which this enterococcus or streptococcus and again bifidobacterium produces serotonin. Same bacteria using different amino acids, producing different neurotransmitters. And our vagus nerve terminal has the receptors for these neurotransmitters. So once these receptor and ligand means dopamine and its receptor, or serotonin and its receptor, nitric oxide and its receptor, they trigger the whole vagus nerve terminal, and they put the whole thing up to the brain. So this another one, which is alpha ketoglutaric acid and ammonia and NADH form glutamate, which is excitatory neurotransmitter. But in the presence of bifidobacterium, it forms inhibitory neurotransmitter, anti-anxiety neurotransmitter. You see that? That's how so it is so wonderful. So bifidobacterium, the one which I have highlighted with in red throughout this presentation, has the most beautiful. So if you go to any market to buy probiotics, you must see if it has the bifidobacterium or not. If it is not, then it's not worth it. So lactobacillus definitely yes. No, lactobacillus is best formed in mother's milk, and that is how the baby gets these kind of uh, bacteria in their gut and when they were very young. That's how they the those that the seed of this, when you make a yogurt, right, you have the small seed for the previous one. That is what mother has produced. Mother milk has given the baby to implant in their gut for the lifetime. Biggest gift mother has given into the baby's gut is these bacteria. Remember that. So absence of mother's milk, the person is headed for some challenge in future. Why? Because this bacteria is not has not got inoculated in their gut yet. So and people have been talking about poop implants, right? Implantation of poop in those people who have these bacteria not being developed in their gut. When they see the fecal culture and all that, they find that these bacteria are non-existent, and no wonder they have these problems of Parkinson disease or any neurodegenerative disorders. So these days, that is what is a big thing uh, in the medical literature. Okay. So what happens is when you see that the if efferent, which means coming from all over the body into the brain, so this is the place where it enters the brain, right? And it activates these centers and all the brain gets activated because of vagus nerve in coming from all the parts of the body. So if this does not happen, the brain does not work properly. So we think brain is everything. No, no, it is this is Manipura chakra, which has a vagus nerve network, which controls the brain essentially. It is not the other way around. So this is people have thought, oh, brain is everything. Brain is a big boss. Yes, it is a big boss, no doubt. But the boss of the boss is this is our vagus nerve network in our abdomen. So this is how this is how this whole thing is getting activated. So unbelievable. This is so fantastic. Now, now you know. Let's say a baby, a small baby who has had no uh, gut bacteria properly, is bound to have neurodegeneration. The initial wiring problem, initial wiring problems. When do they find out? At the age of 2, when the growth spurt happens. Initial wiring, real hard wiring of the brain happens during that time. But then after that, the brain constantly keeps growing throughout life. But the main hardwiring happens at the age of 2, and that is when the autism is discovered. I have asked 6 mothers so far about this, whether the baby was in on their stomach when they were young, or they were sitting in a cradle with their back and the front facing. Were they like that all the time? And they are very honest. They have said, I have not had the, since I was working, and baby has to be set in the daycare. So they only make them sit on the basket, and at the most they will sleep on their back or on their side, but never played on their tummy. The one who does not scroll on their tummy have, you can understand that something is not right. Something not so good is bound to happen around the age of 2, and that is the wrong wiring in the brain, miswired cortex. And because these signals are not getting reaching up there, and mother is not feeding the baby with her milk, that is another challenge. So there is a whole lot of truth to our ancient thinking. Okay. Signs of amyloid plaques and tau tangles: confusion, brain fog, trouble paying attention and concentrating, reduced ability to organize thoughts or action, decline in ability to analyze a situation, develop effective plans and communicate that plan to others. These I have seen personally, this happening to people. Cannot even understand how that. So that's why I always suggest Balasan Bhujangasan. Balasan Bhujangasan, and eat right, please. Though Balasan Bhujangasan can take care of most of the problems of the entire thing. Difficulty in organization, this is the same thing here. Difficulty deciding to do what to do next. Now, decision part is the prefrontal cortex part, this part of the brain. So when the activation is not happening because of, so how does the brain get activated? Because of the vagus nerve network. Back again. So if somebody has a, you remember last long time ago we had talked about Pramesh Ratnakar, who has had Parkinson disease. Now this fellow is playing golf and doing hiking. Why? Because he started doing yogasan, and that too Bhujangasan and Balasan, Bhujangasan, Surya Namaskar, and he's the guy was, he could take around 1.5 hours to cross between 3 chairs, between it make 8 out of that. It take them 1.5 hours to do that. Now he's playing golf and trekking in Uttarakhand, trekking without any help. I mean, such a tremendous uh, recovery. Now, problem with recall. They have a memory. Everybody has a good memory, but it is a problem with recall. That is a big problem. Restlessness and agitation, unsteady gait, bladder control problem, and depression or apathy. And depression starts with anxiety. If you stay anxious for a 1 month to, sorry, for 6 months to a year, you will get into depression. There is absolutely no doubt about that. If you continuously stay in anxiety, depression is a must. And post, if you stay in depression for another 1 year, suicidal thought is another challenge. So make sure that doesn't happen. Now, Alzheimer plaques and tau tangles can be removed by these guys: vitamin D, Very important, vitamin D. Cell use vitamin D for uh, allowing the calcium to go inside. In the absence, all the electrical cells, muscle is an electrical cell, neuron is electrical cell, and if you do not give them enough of calcium and magnesium to work, they are not going to work. So vitamin D is extremely important. North of Florida, north of Atlanta, 100% of the people are deficient in vitamin D3. It's a must to take at least I'm saying, not that is the minimum, base minimum, 1000 unit per day. Sorry, no, not 1000, 10,000 unit per day vitamin D3 to melt this amyloid plaques and things like that. Omega 3 fatty acid is an anti-inflammatory molecule, right? Now, deep sleep, non-REM deep sleep is necessary, or deep dhyan is necessary to resolve that. This is not my coming. This is coming from literature. Coenzyme Q10 supplement, very very important. This helps in mitochondrial function. Mitochondria is the small organelle inside the cell which produces ATP through electron transport system. So if your mitochondria is not happy, it will not produce ATP, which means the energy molecule. So coenzyme Q10 helps do that. Walking is another one, and pranayam, of course, deep awareful breathing, not shwasayam, pranayam. We confuse with pranayam with shwasayam. Shwasayam is inhale, exhale. Pranayam is inhale, hold, exhale, hold. This is what Sriji has been talking about. She talks pranayam. There is a difference between do not or alternate nostril breathing. Cut that thinking out. It is anulom vilom, which is pranayam, which is when you take inhale, hold, exhale, hold. That is pranayam with complete awareness. It is not breathing in and breathing out. No, he has not stopped in the junction between inhalation and exhalation and inhalation. That stopping is the magic of pranayam. Of course, aerobic exercise with heart rate 110 beats per minute and above, maintained for 15 minutes. This is necessary for stopping or even reversing Alzheimer. So let's talk about three different uh, plaques that we talked about, and how are the difference. There are the similarities in these plaques, the way it operates and functions. Number one is dental plaques is basically accumulation of bacterial food particle, and this is another accumulation of what? Lipid, cholesterol, and calcium. Now, why is it calcium being accumulated here? Because you do not give enough vitamin D. So calcium stays outside now. And that is exactly why the plaque is formation. You have to take calcium inside the cell. Calcium inside the cell is better than calcium outside the cell. So when the calcium is inside the cell, it allows for contraction, and magnesium allows for relaxation. So if calcium and magnesium are not in the system, it will cause plaques. Okay. So, and this is purely because of D3 lacking. Remember, D3, vitamin D3 is extremely important, extreme amongst all the vitamin, I think, because it is not available elsewhere. You can't get it. You have to synthesize in our own body. But then, you have to take supplements. It's not available through food, actually. So amyloid beta, or this is excessive of bad cholesterol, LDL, right? Now, inflammation and immune response is lipid, cholesterol, and calcium. This is basically the same thing here. The same thing here. See, dental plaques, inflammation triggers, these are the inflammation triggers. Arteriosclerosis and macrophage activation, which is basic. Macrophage is nothing but a kind of a cell in the blood, which is, if it is malfunctioning, it can cause inflammation, big time inflammation. Neuroinflammation, this is macrophage activation here, and this inside the brain, it is microglia activation. The macrophage and the microglia are brother and sister. Actually, they almost look similar. They almost behave similar. They do everything similar. Disruption of normal tissue function, tooth decay, vascular narrowing, cardiovascular diseases starts with that, and of course, neurodegenerative and cognitive decline in the brain. So these plaques. Now the amyloid plaques and tau plaques, I will discuss little further. There is something much more. People's arterial plaque can understand. Dental plaque, they people understand. They have not understood yet amyloid and tau. So I'll hang on. I am going to discuss real well. Now, oxidative stress. Remember oxidative stress? What did I say about oxidative stress? Fried food, trans fatty acid food. Any frying you do at all, don't keep that oil or anything. Throw it away right away or give it to some, because that's the oil is used by the diesel production companies. All the oil that is used in for frying chips and fries and all that in different restaurant, they are put in a big drum, and that drum, that fellow takes it after it is full, and they make diesel out of it. Remember that. That is the one which is creating diesel is what you are putting in your mouth, in your gut. So that is a bad idea. That is what causes oxidative stress, because it produces free radical reactive oxygen species. Reactive oxygen species can latch on to any molecule and cause what? Injury. And that promotes inflammation. Remember. So enhances the amyloid aggregation. This this particular thing triggers amyloid aggregation in the brain. Another one enhances amyloid and tau aggregation. So this oxidative stress is a very bad deal. So please make sure that oxidation. How do you stop that? I will talk a little later. Now, early intervention is regular brushing, flossing, and dental checkup. Extremely important. Balanced diet, regular exercise, stress management. Yes, people like the stress. These days they love stress. Oh, I'm not in stress. Okay. Lifestyle intervention, vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acid. Very important. Floss. Walk. This is it. Now, I was talking about amyloid. Now, imagine a neuron, right? Neuron, a cell, just a cell. This is the cell membrane, this gray part, and this is latched on to the inside with some uh, molecule here. Now, this big uh, this is called amyloid precursor protein. Now, this is very important for synaptic plasticity and neurotransmission. Very much. It is a neuroprotector. It protects the neuron from these bad boys, this reactive oxygen species and stuff like that. And it is necessary for maintaining the integrity of the brain. If this is missing, this you see how much cushion the cell has on top of it, so that it doesn't get banged by in the football game. If in the football game this get mechanically disturbed in the brain. So that's why most of the those people who really hit hard on the head and things like that, they develop in the later part of life neurodegeneration. Like one of the person who uh, developed Parkinson disease, right? Muhammad Ali. Another one is neuronal migration. Now these guys have these cues to migrate to different areas. So when the neuron, the small baby neuron, neuroblast they call it. So when it has to go to some target neuron to make connections, These molecules, this amyloid precursor protein is the one which leads in the micro. They are there ahead of it to take all the onslaught of this and that bad molecules, and they go to the target and make connections. If these guys are broken down for whatever the reason is, then the cell cannot migrate, cannot make connections, cannot have synaptic addition. Synaptic addition means two neurons getting together and talking to each other. This is what synapse is. So this particular molecule sits there and makes the connection happen tighter and not like dhulmul. Cell signaling, it is for neuronal survival and differentiation of the neuroblast. Differentiation means neuroblast is formed, it is a precursor neuron, which is not yet become a neuron, but it has to become a neuron. Now, which neuron it has to become, whether it should be dopaminergic neuron or whether it should be serotonergic neuron, whether it is be norepinephrine, whichever neuron is, these guys have the cues on itself, and then that's how they make a neuron. Then, so of course, they have the iron regulation, iron and copper homeostasis happens, iron regulation, preventing neurodegeneration happens, and of course, this particular iron regulation and preventing the neurodegeneration is a hallmark of this fellow. But if it is somehow activated by this cut down by this gamma secretase, which is in response to inflammation. In response to inflammation, this gamma secretase is an enzyme which cleaves this guy, leaving this fellow sitting outside the cell like this. These are the neurons, and these are the amyloid plaques are outside the neurons. Remember that. The extracellular matrix contains amyloid plaques, right? And this is now, if these are getting accumulated so much, there is no neurotransmission going on from one neuron to another neuron. And when they, it's axiom in neuroscience. Neurons that fire together wire together. Now these neurons are not able to fire together, so they cannot wire together. What happens? They shrivel after that. These particular neurons, these are neurons, right? And they have released what? Amyloid protein. And this protein, because the gamma secretase has taken the protein out, now these wires, these fellow cannot wire anymore. Now they will die and they will produce junk in the extracellular matrix. Junk inside the brain is produced by inflammation. Remember that. There is tau. There is another tau which is junk accumulating inside the nerve cell. That was the junk sitting outside. Now inside also it starts. Now who starts what? Actually, I would say the inside starts outside and then outside triggers the inside. So they always junk is formed outside as well as inside now. Now these guys are like these tau is nothing but you remember road, a highway, whenever have you seen any highway being constructed? In Chicago, there is only two seasons. One is highway construction season, and another is winter season. So you'll find traffic jam every time, no matter what. So these rods below the road, on the cement road, right? They are rods laid down. Now these rods are this tau, and these the that which connects the between the rods. Sorry, the microfilaments or microtubules they call it is the rod, right? And the one which connects these two and make the integrity good is the oblique ones, like the or the one which is maintained at right angle. So connecting this to this or this to this, those are the ones, right? So if there is this tau holds these microtubules properly so that it doesn't shake. And then what happens is stuff that is made inside the neuronal body is transferred, like neurotransmitter is transferred from here all the way to the synaptic terminal. Now, this is a terminal where the neurotransmitter is released here, inside out, outside here. Now, what happens? Now, this integrity is broken because of tau phosphorylation. Now, tau phosphorylation happens because of bad misfolding of tau. Because of what? Lack of energy, lack of ATP inside the cell makes these tau becoming hyperphosphorylated. So what happens? The integrity of this highway is blocked completely. It's disturbed. It is now Delhi. In Delhi, this is how you see roads are like that. You can be earlier it was like that. Now it is like that. No roads. You see the hole in the road or the road in the hole. Nobody knows. That's what is happening now. So entire stuff is gone now, and that is this. Do you think this neuron will ever survive? No more. No, because it cannot communicate to another neuron. Communication with one neuron to another, one neuron communicating to another neuron is what makes the brain what it is. If communication is somehow disrupted, then that's it. It's over. Now, normal function of is in the microtubule assembly. Remember, stability, neuronal differentiation, axonal growth, as I told you, signal pathway, neurotransmitter release, because those neurotransmitters is synthesized inside the neuron, right? After the activation by vagus nerve. So this new neurotransmitter is synthesized in the brain for so and these guys are this tau is responsible for the release of neurotransmitter. So if that is not there, then nothing is happening. So it starts with gut making neurotransmitter, activating the vagus nerve activating the top portion in the brain in this different regions, and those regions get activation. When I say brain activation, which means now the brain is using the raw material within the system collected by the blood and all that to produce its own neurotransmitter, brain neurotransmitter. And that is how this, if this is disrupted, then it's over. Axonal transport, axonal integrity, as I told you, integrity is very important. Now, this is the amyloid plaque outside the neuron, and this is the tangle. You see that it should be a nice fiber line parallel to each other should be there, but all the fibers are gone. The microtubules are disrupted, and the signaling is disrupted. It's all gone now. So let's get back to how this happened. In the Alzheimer brain, neurons are dying. Yes, yes. Because why? Because there is no blood reaching them. Because of the arterial plaque. Remember arterial plaque story? Okay. Now there is no stimulus reaching the neuron in the brain. That is the vagus nerve story. So one is blood is not reaching properly, then the stimulus is not reaching properly. That is causing the. Then there is inflammation in the brain. Now, this in neuroinflammation story is dental plaque. Remember, lack of antioxidant, flavonoids, and inflammatory, omega-3 fatty acid in the diet. If this is missing, then what happens? Inflammation. Why? Because you have this reactive oxygen species hurting different parts wherever it reaches, and it causes the injury. And the injury is the trigger of new inflammation. Of course, if it is small inflammation, if a small trigger injury, then it is okay. You don't need this neuroinflammation itself blocks its own production, the pro-inflammatory molecules. It produces anti-inflammatory molecules in the later part of the injury. But if we constantly give it a lot of stress all the time, then what happens? Even the system fails. Then less sugar reaching, which means less ATP in the brain. Apparently, one of the molecules which I shouldn't say, okay, let me blow my own horn once a while. I was the first person to purify the protein within the mitochondria, which in the presence of ATP, it is a molecular chaperones. So if any protein inside the inside the mitochondria is misfolded for some reason, this particular chaperone protein can take that protein and put it into lysosome, which means it put it in the garbage. How that works, that is the protein as purified and cloned for the first time. And well, after that, that's it. No more, no more uh, beating the horn. Okay, beating the drum. Okay, because of less oxygen reaching the brain. Now the, the entire system is kind of stressed out. Less oxygen reaching, no stimulus reaching, a lot of pro-inflammatory molecule in the system, lot of oxygen reactive species, reactive oxygen species reaching there. Um, and what will the brain do? It will collapse. Now, now the statin story. That is the most important thing that I want to make everybody aware of. Of course, 100% statin is prescribed these days. 100%, 100%. And I refused to take statin even though I had little higher cholesterol, the bad one, little bit higher. But since I had a good cholesterol, quite good, my ratio was 2.3. So doctor said, I said, why do you want me to take statin? He said, no, it's a preventive. I said, you do it. I took this particular printout and showed it to him. And I said, do you know where the statin acts? He said, no. I said, then don't prescribe statin if you don't know how it acts and where it acts. He said, no, no, I only know that it reduces cholesterol. I said, you're right. Because this pathway, end product is what? Cholesterol. So if this is blocked here, the statin blocks here, all the molecule below this red cross is not produced, which also involve coenzyme Q10 and dolicol. You only worried about cholesterol. What about the worrying about this? You didn't ask me to take coenzyme Q10, doctor. Why is that so? Why you are not telling me to take coenzyme Q10? Do you know the importance of coenzyme Q10? He said, no, I don't know. I said, I'm going to change you. If you don't prescribe this thing, you will be probably in jail someday. So anyway, this coenzyme Q10 is a low energy. If in the absence of this, it produces low energy, heart failure, myalgia. I remember the biggest problem of out of 12 buddies from my own class who are in the United States, eight of them have died and nine is in hospital. Why? Because they are taking statin. I have the statistics on my side. So anybody who is taking statin, please take coenzyme Q10. It is available in Costco. Eat double. Now this is low energy. This is the reason for tau tangles. Tau tangles means the inside stuff. Highway broken. Axon not producing any, no more neurotransmitter. The entire integrity of the neuron is disrupted because of coenzyme Q10. No wonder you will see a pandemic in uh, epidemic proportion of Alzheimer disease happening in this country. Watch for 5 years. So this is the one which is bad boy. That is prevented by taking statin. Right? Coenzyme Q10 has the following function: neuroprotection, cardiovascular health, immune system support, electron transport chain, energy transfer, free radical scavenging. The free radical scavenging means reactive oxygen species, which this is a potent antioxidant, extremely very strong antioxidant. Along with this, if you take omega-3 fatty acid, you are safe. If you don't take omega-3 fatty acid and if you don't take coenzyme Q10, join the club of my 9 buddies. Sorry, I'm very strong about this, and this is very emotional to me because they are my very good friends who died. And their wife said that, ए भैया ऐसा है, अभी सब तो ठीक था, कोलेस्ट्रॉल भी लो था, उनका ड्रग ले रहे थे सब. हमने कहा कोएंजाइम Q10 ले रहे थे कि नहीं? कहते नहीं। हम बहुत दुख हुआ इस बात। उसके बाद से हमने रिसर्च करना शुरू किया। इसके बाद आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग रिसर्च ऑन दिस, हाउ डू आई स्टॉप अदर्स फ्रॉम दिस कैलामिटी, राइट? So interaction with it helps interaction with other molecules, other minerals and hormones. They are interacting with this. You are blocking the interaction of several things. This whole thing is blocked. If you don't, if you just take statin and on 3 months later come and get the blood checked again. Oh, your statins, your cholesterol level is pretty good. What happens then? Cholesterol level is good, but energy is not there. I can't walk. I can't walk up the stairs. Why? Because muscles are dying. Why muscles are dying? I don't have to discuss that. It is a muscle lysis agent, by the way. It is a muscle lysis agent. So muscle lysis agent, where does the body's excess carbohydrate or sugar gets burnt? It is in the muscles. So absence of muscle will cause what? Sugar to be hanging around in the bloodstream. And then they will say, oh yeah, your triglyceride is quite high now. Oh, yes, definitely it will be. After some time, they'll give you triglyceride medication. They say now the A1C is very high now because your your blood is so sweet. Now they will take the metformin now. Give me a break here. You start with cholesterol reducing agent. Now you're taking metformin, cholesterol and triglyceride reducing drug. And what else you want to give me more? I don't know. The take home message is floss, 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 buddy, floss, baby, floss, floss. The walk, walk, walk. And of course, meditate, meditate. That is the main thing. If you do these things, stay away from food that contribute to oxidative stress. And take omega-3 fatty acid, vitamin D3, and coenzyme Q10 daily. Thank you very much. I have become very emotional while talking about this stuff. Please forgive me for that because I have lost my friend, very, very good friends who were ignorant as much as I was, but because of them, I dedicate this whole talk to them. Thank you so much.
I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
I'm Sujata. You said to take coenzyme Q10. How much should we take? What is there a dose?
Yeah, in the Costco there are some tablet which are prescribed dose, but you can take two, one one after every meal.
One after every meal.
No,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I did not follow what you said.
One caplet which is
Yes.
available from Costco. In the whole
I don't have to show it to anybody, okay? Just
One tablet a day is the daily.
no, two caplet a day.
2 tablets a day.
Normal
It's
people also
there.
can take it. Normal people without those who are not on cholesterol
That's what.
medication drug, they can also take it. Anybody should take. I think everybody should.
See,
Take.
everybody should take it.
Yes.
That's what
Without
you
any hesitation.
All right.